episode number 84 with Mike Sneideman.
I got X-ray specs for eyes, I can see right through you.
Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton, and I am here with...
On the road, on the way to Sin City. Mike Schneider.
Welcome, Mike.
That's my radio voice, Steve. I've been working on it. That's my
Yeah.
podcast.
How the hell are you, man? How was the? Okay, let's start from scratch. You were during the you were down in the World Series when I was down in Panama. So you've been kicking ass and taking names for like a month. What? Fill everyone in.
Yeah.
If they haven't followed you on Twitter, let's start them right from scratch. When you got up.
First of all, if they're not following me on Twitter, they're fucking losers. Because I'm the center of the fucking poker universe, obviously.
Yes.
No, I had a good month. I very similar to last year, where I showed up in town and immediately had a good score.
Uh-huh.
And came in 18th in the Colossus, 45K, almost the same exact amount as my Venetian last year. And it depends how you look at it. In 31 days in Vegas, I fired 40 bullets.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so I was running around. So I got 10 cashes, and I'm profitable. I haven't really done the math, like 25 to 28K probably up in poker.
Nice.
And
nice.
then some life leaks. Well, I don't really gamble anymore, so I had to pay for my hotel room. So that was $2,600 for the month.
Yeah.
I definitely got to rent a room last year. Rent a room next year, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, get a house. I mean, find roommates or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe find a couple of middle-aged dudes with kids who maybe we each have our kids come for a week or something. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But the big score still eludes me. But got it in jacks, ace, king, in the Colossus. Or I could have gone a little deeper. Could have made a little more money even.
Well, you got 18th, right?
18th, yeah.
That's impressive.
So,
how many people?
21,000 something.
Jesus, fucking impressive.
Yeah.
What a run, dude. What a run.
I mean, just me and you and Doug going over like those 17 big blinds, what proper open shove, all that kind of shit is obviously really helpful for that kind of tournament.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to make the decisions and I'm going to be like, I'm going to know who there is not going to make those right decisions. So, I mean, obviously ridiculous. I think at the end of day one, I lost a huge flip, queens versus ace king. And this was like bullet number 6. So I was fucking just pissed off and and then I immediately, so I was down like 2 big blinds, like the last level. And then got it in like king 4 against ace X and hit a king. Then I got it in like, I forget, like king, ace 9 against pocket 10s, so boom, boom, boom. Obviously I got lucky to get there. So
you can't get that deep in a tournament without getting lucky. There's just no way.
No, I'm stating the obvious.
But but still, I mean, you got to be on your fucking A game for how many days was that? Was it 2 days or?
No, 3 days.
3 days.
So I buffed off a lot of chips very early in the day 3, and after that, I just managed to ride the 12 to 15 big blind stack for 7 hours and laddered up another 35K. You know what I mean? So that was good for that.
Yeah.
And awesome. A lot of bunch of day 2s. The one tournament, that I'll have to sleep on for the regret. Because last year, I don't know, I think I've discussed the Planet Hollywood one a few times, where I had my table covered with 20 players left. I had all the chips, and I ended up coming in 14th.
Yeah.
Like 20 left, I had like 20% of the chips in players, and then ridiculous. I had 3.3 million when I want to say the average was like 700,000, like late tournament or something. But
yeah.
And it wasn't quite. It was a little similar. The win had I think a 500K tournament with $1,100 buy-in or whatever it was, and they killed the guarantee. I think it was almost $1 million, and first place was $200,000.
Oh, wow.
And I entered day 2, one of the bigger chip stacks, if I remember, and I built. And with 30 players left, I'm pretty sure I had the biggest stack.
Yeah.
And then I lost one like medium-sized pot. And then, I've talked to a few people about this hand. Maybe I talked to you about it. I'm sure I tweeted where I think there was actually 28 players left. We were just getting ready to break the 3 tables. And a guy, I had opened ace-king off from UTG-1. I'm guessing, I don't know if we were 7 or 8-handed here.
Okay.
And a guy 3-bet me from the small blind. And he had 3-bet folded. He only been on this table for like 30 minutes. He had 3-bet folded once. So he's definitely capable of making a move. Although I am the chip leader, I am in early position, and he is out of position. So I got to put him on a pretty strong 3-betting range there, I think.
Yeah.
This is all Monday morning quarterbacks. I don't know if
you had ace-king, right?
I had ace-king off, and he 3-bets me. To start the hand, I want to say I had like 1.3 million, and he had like 1.2 million. And the blinds were, let me see if I can remember the bet exactly. I'm going to say the blinds were 12,000, 24,000.
Okay.
And I think I was raising kind of big. Just
so that gives you that gives you over 40 big blinds, right? That's like almost 50 bigs.
Over 50 bigs, 50-something bigs, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I was up to 1.7 million. There's actually another. The hand I lost previously is kind of interesting to talk about too. Okay. But anyways, I mean this one is I kind of already given it away that this is the hand of disappointment. But I want to say it was 12.24, and I raised to like 61K. I was raising big. I was stealing the blind so wide. Yeah. So I was like doing 2.5x a lot.
Yeah.
And he made it like exactly 3x, whatever it was, like 183K. So I could have taken a flop in position, but I shoved. He had queens. He actually didn't snap call.
Huh.
I mean, like people are saying that his call is actually worse than my shove because with ace king I'm shoving. He's got the I'm not dominated that often, especially considering his bet sizing, because I block the ace and kings, or sometimes he's just drawing stone dead. But I talked about this in the hallway with this guy afterwards. We were joking, like, how much equity was in that pot? I'm like, well, I don't know, 50, 60K? He's like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, because whoever won that pot was definitely going to be the chip leader.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I probably could have called in position. I mean, he's like, well, you never have aces or kings there, so I knew I had to call. And I think I probably never have aces, but I know I do have kings there sometimes because there's a lot of chips in that pot at that point. There's already 240K plus chips in that pot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if you obviously have to raise. I don't mind the sizing at all. That's 2.5x?
Yeah. If I'm remembering properly, I think I am.
Yeah, and then when he 3-bets, I kind of like a peel there. I kind of like a call. You take the hand in position, and when you see the flop, you're going to see 70% of your hand right there. And if he bets, you make a decision then, and if he checks, then you make a decision then. But yeah, I kind of like a call. Again, Monday morning quarterback. I don't know what I would have done in the moment, but I like a call there now.
I mean, I don't know. If he's folding like 9s, 10s, jacks pre-flop, then the shove is very profitable because he's folding quite a bit of his 3-betting range there, or almost all of it. Because he's definitely got some bluffs in there. We talked about that. Yeah. I mean, one of those things, I don't know. I guess if I win that hand, I'm in amazing shape to win that tournament. And so anyway, that was with that took me down to like 4 big blinds, and then I ended up going. That was like I ended up going out 19th, and I got it in good, ace queen, and whatever. But that's the one tournament where it was very similar to last year, where it just felt like I had an edge on the field, and I was playing great, and I just could have stolen a lot of small pots. And, I mean, eventually, though, I mean, sometimes there's going to be a big hand. I don't know if that was the right spot for it, but, yeah.
I don't think is a big error. I don't think it was a big one at all. I just, I like to call.
No.
I mean, I think call is first, shove is second. And call is first, shove is second, and then I think a fold would be the worst.
Or maybe 4-bet call it off is first.
Oh.
Then you've got aces and kings in your range.
Yeah, I kind of almost fold then. Yeah.
If he's taking those out of my range against the,
What was the hand before this one?
Let's fly through the strategy, Steve. We got so much to get in touch with here. I mean, for God's sakes, I was living for Carlos with a month. People want to know, did he sleep on his back, his stomach? There's so much fascinating personal stuff here. I fell in love 4 times. I had a few dates there. But anyways.
Nice. Will you have any second dates? That's the question.
I don't like your tone, sir. You're questioning. You're doubting.
I'm not doubting anything, no.
You are just taking a rational man's approach to this information that I've given you here. I don't know. There's one woman I had I don't want to get into that yet. Well, whatever. We started the one hand. I open ace jack, button call. This is, 8-handed, whatever.
Okay.
I was early-ish position. But this guy, he hasn't been super active. I mean, he's not calling just to call. He's got a decent hand.
Yeah.
Ace jack and the flop is like ace 9-5.
Good fun. Okay.
So I see bet.
Uh-huh.
He calls.
Okay.
The turn is like a deuce.
Okay, it's blank. Okay.
Ace 9-5 deuce. You bet again? It was a rainbow flop. There was no flush draw out there. If I'm betting now, it's not to protect against a draw.
It's to try to extract value.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Okay, if he calls on the button, what can his range be? He calls your bet on the flop. I would say aces. He could have just about all aces are in his hand. Ones that are better than yours, ones that are worse, like maybe suited wheel aces, stuff like that. Of which 2 of those have now hit. Ace 5. Is he really calling there with 8-9 off, ace 9 suited on the button? I think we could see 9-5 out of his range, 2s out of his range. Pocket 9s and pocket 5s would make sense, and then probably their pairs like 10s and jacks, maybe. Maybe he's not three-betting those on the button.
I don't know. He might not fold any. If he called with a pair, he might fold them all. He might call with them all right now, just to see what I do on the turn.
He might, and I guess my point is I'm a little worried that I think that he's going to be calling with hands that he's going to be calling the turn or raising the turn with hands that beat you, and the ones that like if he floated you there with pocket 8s. Or is he really calling pocket 8s on that board? Maybe he would. But let's say he's floating you with 10s or jacks, he might be able to fold them down the turn and let you check.
If I check, and he checks behind, he might call on the river.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas
that was my thinking is that he's got some aces in his range, so that maybe I could get 3 bets out of. But I think he had a lot of pairs lower than an ace, and I thought, maybe he's got some pure float, so I thought check it here, maybe let him try to bet, rep something, steal it, or check behind. If he checks behind, then I'm going to be betting pretty much every river. Yeah. So I check, and I check, and he checks.
Okay.
And the river is another 9. So the board is ace, 9-9-5 deuce.
Okay. And now it's on us. I guess this would be a bet fold. right?
Yeah.
Maybe make it like a third pot, and if he raises you, see what the sizing is, and then kind of decide from there.
Yeah, I mean, just to go through the whole, there was a lot of hands where I discussed with people the whole concept that if you're more than one level ahead of your opponent, you're leveling yourself. Not that this guy was on, but I mean, there's a lot of pots that I could discuss where I've like there are some guys. There are some guys.
Yeah, I could think of times where I did that over the last week. Yes. Yeah.
But there are some maestros here who will raise the river with a crappy ace, making it look like they hit trip so they got a big ace, or they'll turn pocket tens into a bluff, or maybe even So anyways, I bet for some reason I think I remember that like 91K. And he made it annoyingly small. He made it like 225K.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I did like, I didn't think he had aces. Didn't have that many nines in his range. I've got the blocker to ace nine. He does have some monsters in his hand, obviously. So him raising with a worse ace just doesn't make any sense at all, of course.
That's true.
But I thought he 3-bet ace king, so it's like one of those things I can feel smart where I called his hand. I'm like, really, ace queen, you're raising there? You're supposed to be calling, sir. I was like, even gave like a little speech, like trying to get a react. This was at the win, by the way. The win, you're not supposed to. They'll give you a penalty for that kind of shit. You do the Rio, but
yeah, they don't.
I called and he had ace queen, and that, this would be maybe an example of like, you probably would not see that in a daily deep stack. Not that that's superstar stuff, but you don't see a lot of people raising one pair hands for value on a river.
That's true.
They'll like already scoop that pot. So, you got to give hats off to the guy. He said, well, if you had ace king, you fire again on the turn, which isn't actually totally true there. I'd be checking ace king a lot too.
Yeah.
Out of position on that turn, just for pot control / maximum value. I don't know, but anyways, so those are like the huge little pots of decisions you make. Like that guy's probably a better player than me. He's not going to pay me off there when I do the same thing, and I wasn't good enough, and I would not have been good enough to raise there and get a little extra value. And maybe he's good enough to fold it in my spot too. I don't know, but. For whatever, I thought it is, one of those times where you just really feel like you're in the Matrix, just winning every pot, know when, the exact amount to bet to get it to fold or call, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's all variance, but anyways, that tournament, I was just on fucking high. Just really thought I was going to win that thing.
Did you fold there with ace jack, or did you call?
No, I called.
You called, okay. Yeah, I was thinking it was a bet fold just because. I convinced myself that there was enough times where he was somehow taking a crappier ace, trying to put a move on me or something like that. I was kind of right. I'm like, I couldn't picture him doing that with a one pair hand. I mean, I kind of called ace queen, but I'm like, ace queen he's supposed to be calling here every time. He's either got a full house or he's floated and turning into a bluff, or you know what I mean. So. Yeah, he's turning like tens into a bluff or jacks into a bluff or something.
I convinced myself there's enough bluffs in his range, but I don't know. Like I said, those are the hands that make a difference between like a good pro or a low level pro, and probably I don't know. This guy was probably not much better than me. Probably results were similar. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you think he's doing with like sixes, sevens, and eights on that board? On ace 9-5 flop, when you bet, what's he doing with sixes, sevens, and eights? Do you think he's calling?
He might.
Because if he's calling with those on that flop, then he's checking the turn, and then he pretty much has no choice when you bet the river but to. With those hands, with sixes, sevens, and eights, can he just call there on the river? When you bet the river, he's got to know you have an ace, right?
I think if he's got a smallish pair, I think on that board, tens and jacks, he just checks behind on the turn and reevaluates. But if he's got 6 to 7 dates, I think he tries to take it down on the turn, just in case I've got 10s or jacks and he can still.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he fires those on the turn, because 2 is about as safe as it's going to get on the turn for 6 or 7.
So the river, yeah. I mean,
I guess what I'm doing is I'm trying to establish like what hands is he going to be bluffing with on the river, because if he's raising for value with ace queen, then I think just about everything less than that is a bluff, or turning your hand into it.
Oh yeah. I mean,
ace 10 at that point is turning your hand into a bluff if you're raising there.
I mean, you could be rep the trips. I mean, that is something I'll do, which is of course repping a very narrow range when I'm betting again at it. And I have got a lot of aces in my range, obviously, so that would be kind of a risky play, and especially with the size of his bet. I just thought, yeah, I mean, like I leveled myself. I'm like, well, okay, he shouldn't be doing this with one pair, because I've got ace king a lot of times. I've got the nut one pair hand.
Yeah.
And like I was like, if he had any sort of stat or 2 pair, doesn't he bet the turn? Doesn't he want to get little chips in there and hope I have an ace? Because if not, he's not getting paid off anyway. He might as well go for max value. Yeah. So I told myself, I just convinced myself that he didn't have one pair. I don't think I broke down his range too. I'm like, he doesn't have one pair. I mean, the first thing I said was ace queen. I mean, so I shouldn't say that, but I took a little time, and I think I leveled myself, because I just said, I don't think he has one pair. If he's got a monster, I think he's just betting the turn so often. Yeah, and then so I just vaguely said, oh, well, he's got... So I was getting ridiculous price. I mean, like, he had to be bluffing, like, 1 out of 5 times, maybe even less.
Yeah.
But I was going to spin on the river, too, because I bet, like, $90K into a pot of, like, I want to say 220. So 310, 550. I want to say that I was getting 4 to 1.
5 or 6 to 1 or something.
Yeah, but I can't remember the specifics. But
I had one kind of like that. It was a little bit different. I got pocket aces. This was a cash game. I was playing. I was actually leaving to Laughlin in like 2.5 hours, so I had no time to play a tournament. And I'm like, well, I feel like I have to play something, so I played 1-3 cash. And I sat down, and there was a guy who was pretty active. He was definitely the loosest guy at the table, and talked about how he was, he plays roulette and he likes to gamble, and so perfect player to play against, right? So I get pocket aces. I raise it up. He's in the big blind. Folds all the way around to the big blind. I raise it to 20. He looks down his cards. He almost throws them away, and then he calls. The flop comes down, 6-6 jack. He pauses for a second, and then he checks. And at this point, I mean, he's got such a wide range because he's playing so many hands. He's a calling station. He likes to call down. He will fold on the flop if he just completely whiffs. But I've seen him whiff pretty hard. I mean, like, he's calling all gut shots. He's calling with overcards. He's very active, right? If he has some kind of draw, he's in. So 6-6 jack. He looks at the flop, and I could tell that there was a way that I didn't think he would fold to a single bet here. So I thought, well, maybe he's got something like jacks, or maybe he had a small pair like pocket sevens or something like that that he's debating now whether they're good or whatever. So he checks. I bet 15. He calls. The turn is it's some kind of blank. It's like a 2 or something.
Is the rainbow flop? No flush draw? No
flush draw, no. And the two is a blank. It does put up a flush draw though. The 2 does, or okay. whatever the blank was. I remember that. He checks again. I bet 20 this time. I'm just trying to extract as much value as I can out of this guy. And he calls. And then the river does not complete the flush. It's something like an 8, I think. It was lower than the jack. And then he checks again. And I bet 25, and then he min raises to 50. What do you make of that?
I mean, you got to pay him off here. I mean, I would be raising you as a bluff there, but I wouldn't be this small because you're saying you bet 20 and 25 for value. Those, if I was a villain, that would look like a scared bet to me. like you were worried about. So for that reason, I would think. I mean, I don't know. It's villain dependent. Is easier. Has he been being active and not folding is different than like being capable of like bluff raising rivers.
Yeah, I hadn't been playing that long to notice that. He's definitely a calling station. But as far as a lot of bluffs and stuff in his range, I can't say that I've seen much of those. He's the kind of guy that if you try to bluff him off of like middle pair, it's just not going to fucking happen. You're going to have to bet your whole stack to do it, and then he might fold. You know?
Right. I gotcha. I just think, I don't know, the only way I would bet so small in the turn, you're betting 20 into a pot of 60.
Yeah.
Would be if like you had a 6 or like, Jack's full, where you're trying to make it look like you're weak and you're trying to induce him. But if you think if he's never folding a Jack and like he would never fold like pocket 3 here for some reason. I mean, I guess I'm not focused on the right thing here, but that was the first thing that jumped out. You're saying you could call. I think you get perfect information on the turn though. You bet big, don't you?
Well, my thought was
he still might wait till the river to spring his trap instead of 6, but.
My thought was, like, I was afraid if I bet too big that he was going to fold, like, king, queen. You know, something that has, like, no chance of winning. And,
okay.
or his pocket 8s or whatever that he was, hoping to spike a set or whatever. You know, I just wanted to keep it small. I figured I was so far ahead that I just did not want to scare him off his hand, and I want to get as much as I possibly can right here off this guy, because if anyone's going to pay me off of this spot with like 2 overcards, it's going to be this guy.
Right. Okay. So the river, you're getting just a ridiculous price.
Yeah, well, let's see. I raised
because you bet
20, so 40 plus 30 is 70, and then plus another 40 again. So there's 110 in the pot. Plus, so there's 135, and then it's plus 50. Yeah, I'm getting an insane price here. I'm getting like fucking 7-1 or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I guess my question is whenever a calling station check min raises on the river, is it ever a bluff? You know, like can we actually fold aces comfortably here, or do we have to call every time?
I mean, I don't know. I would want to know like 100%. That is just like never, like when you like literally never.
I called out of curiosity because I thought to myself, I'm like, maybe he thinks that he's slow played ace jack here, and it's the best hand. Like there was just too many of those.
I would consider raising ace jack for value there. Like
okay.
I said, because depending on the villain, but like that bet sizing to me is like person's afraid. You know what I mean? There's the blocking bet. Of course, it wouldn't really make sense if you're in position that you're doing the blocking bet on the river.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Yeah. So what
you would call there though every time, right?
Yeah, I mean I'm a calling station like this guy,
okay.
but I don't know. I mean, there's like of the regulars at Ocean's 11, there's actually quite a few that I could probably fold there too. Who I know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've played with this guy enough to make that where you have that enough information that he's not bluffing 12% of the time. You know what I mean?
No, I didn't have that much.
Or that he's not, like he could be doing it for value. Like I said, with ace jack, you think he's good, but get a little too much chips in there.
Yeah. The thing that led me to believe that he didn't have something like that, though, is, well, again, money quarterback, but he took kind of long to call before the flop, and it almost looked like he was thinking of folding.
Okay, that makes sense then, yeah.
Which kind of surprised me when I saw his hand, because it turned out he had ace-6 for trips. But that kind of surprised me, because then that made me realize like how tight I was really playing, because I hadn't really played a hand at all, and so he must have known that I had a big hand, and because I was finally finally raising, and then he was like, "Oh man, here I'm calling with ace six. Like, should I really? Oh fuck it, I'm gonna call ace station. I have to call." And he did. But that's annoying there. I don't know. Yeah. There was another one I had. I talked about this one with Carlos, but I want to get your opinion on this. This was a tournament. This is the deep stack, the one I made a deep run in. And it was towards the beginning.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, it was bittersweet. You know, it paid for my trip and my room and all that shit. But man, I was fucking 10 spots away from 33K. You know what I mean? It's like, oh God.
You don't have to tell me how that feels. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, this one was kind of early in the tournament. And I've got this dynamic with this guy next to me. His name is Bob. He's kind of an odd fellow. He wears this Minecraft sweatshirt when he plays, and he puts on Blue Shark optics. And so every time before he plays, before he has a hand, he puts on his Blue Shark optics, and then he puts his hood up. And then he zips up this sweater so it goes up to his chin, because he says it hides his neck tells. And then he bets exactly the same way every time. Basically what he's doing is he's turning himself into a robot so that he can't pick up any, like, timing tells and shit on him.
Right, I gotcha. Yeah.
Is what he's doing. But ironically, even after all that, for whatever reason, he was one of the few guys at the table that I just really had a read on. And I don't know if it was his timing. I couldn't tell you because he was doing the same shit every single time. You know what? There was something different that he was doing, though. When he was putting his chips into the pot differently. Maybe that's what I picked up on, because sometimes he would slide them in, and then sometimes he would hover them over the felt about half an inch and then drop them. So maybe that's what
was he circumcised or uncircumcised, Steve?
He was uncircumcised.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, you have it. You can see so deep into people. You see everything. I was just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
in minor, your reading abilities there. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that plays into it or not, but he definitely was uncircumcised. So anyhow, our level here is, let's see, I want to get this right. It's 5,100. It's the second level of the tournament. I'm in the small blind. A calling station in early position limps. And she'd been limping quite a bit, and basically she's fit or fold. If she's got something, she'll bet it or call. If she doesn't have anything, she's checking and folding. That's pretty much her game. So she limps in early position. I'm in the small blind. I look down at 10 deuce suited. I throw in a call, and then the guy to my left, the guy with the sweater named Bob, he checks. And then we go to the flop, and the flop is ace 7-3. And rainbow, I check, Bob checks, and the early position gal checks. Okay. And the turn is a 3, and so now the board is ace 7-3-3. You have
10 deuce.
10 deuce suited, yeah, and it's rainbow. We have no chance of a flush. Nobody does. I check, Bob checks, and then early position checks. And now the river's an ace. So the board now is ace 7-3-3 ace. We got 300 in the pot because we all called 100 to make this happen. And so now we're basically playing high card, right? Because nobody has a 3, nobody's got an ace, and it certainly doesn't look like anyone has a 7, right? So I check, and now Bob bets 100 into a 300 pot. And UTG folds, and now it's back on us. What do you do?
I don't know. What are you trying to, first, it depends how good, if I was the villain, if you raised, I would, snap call you king or queen high here.
I would, yeah.
So, it seems like a raise or fold spot, but especially if you think this guy's incapable of calling you with king high.
Okay, let me give you an idea of what he plays with. He's very, very active. He's also pretty good. I mean, for as goofy as he looked in his sweatshirt and as kind of robotic as he was a fairly good player. He was able to call down with some, bottom to second bottom pairs of people that were pretty active. So he definitely has reads on people, and he can make He can make pretty good folds and pretty good calls. And I mean, you know, he was raising with like suited connectors in early position, not all the time, but sometimes. I mean, he was a decent player. But my logic behind this was, and Carlos and I talked a little bit about it, but my logic was there's 3 in the pot. He just bet 1. So now we're getting 4-1 on a call.
Right.
And my logic was basically, okay, half the cards in the deck are 9 and higher, and the other half are like 8 and lower, and we have a 10, which is higher than half of them. I think he's betting in this spot with anything just to try to take it down. So I'm going to call just because we're getting such good odds, and 10 is higher than like half the deck.
Right. I mean,
is that good logic, you think, or did I just get lucky?
No, I was thinking this. I was thinking Jack is an easy call, but 10 I might, even though it's still good a lot, I might turn it to a bluff. Because you can get Jack and Queen to fold.
Okay.
So yeah, here's the difference between, you know, guys who are good at poker and guys like, you know, I told myself my new commitment to poker afterwards when I returned from Vegas.
Yeah.
There's actually probably a more thorough mathematical answer to that. Like, of all the combinations in the deck right now he has, rather than saying, well, he's got, you know, how many of them have jacks, queens, or kings in them? You know what I mean? So, I mean, occasionally he's got an ace there, but no, that may vary. So yeah, so I think the call would be very justified. Like I said, yeah, like if it's a jack or a queen, I think queen's an easy call. I think jack's a call too.
Kings and snap call. I think jacks and queens are pretty easy calls. And another thing too is like you got to figure that he didn't raise pre-flop either. Yeah, you got the calling station that's in early position, but he knows she's a calling station just like I do. And if he looks down at king queen, I think he's raising for value there because she's limping with like so many random like 9-10s and stuff. You know.
Yeah, I think he's doing that. He's doing that as a bluff a lot. You know what I mean? Because it's a cheap. For him, you know, like I said, you don't have to be right that often. He doesn't have to be right that often.
Yeah.
I guess I was tempted to raise with the 10 just because I'm like, God, I'd hate to call here and he's got a fucking, you know, jack 4 or something.
Yeah.
Losing to the jack high would piss me off.
Carlos was saying kind of the same thing. He thought it was a raise or a fold.
Yeah, no, the call. I maybe like a raise or a call now that I think about it, rather than a raise or a fold.
Okay.
Like I've said before with river stuff, like even betting small, there is just merit to not having to show your cards.
True.
Like you might raise, and he might have 9 high and say that's the most bullshit raise I've ever seen, but goddamn, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess on the other hand, being able to show that you're right with 10 high feels cool, and people say, oh. But,
after I called that and everyone saw it, nobody really played back at me unless they had a hand. It was one of those kind of pivotal moments at the table where it was like silent, and then everybody kind of looked down at their chips and started like kind of counting them, and then after that, like I was able to make 3 bets and shit just at my whim. It was kind of cool.
No, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, I mean, and this would be this is what I'm telling myself too as I get ready for the main event. Because that might be, especially early stages, 50, 100, whatever, that might be a spot that I just don't even bother to take the time to think out.
Yeah.
Where I told myself, because, you know, you've got a little more deliberate style, you're going to take your time before you put a chip in and stuff. So, you know, I'm using that as a mental note, not so much about the mechanics of the hand, but just if I don't take my time and breathe and pay attention to what people are doing, those are those little pots that, you know, those accumulate.
Yeah,
You're giving that up.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
I got a couple others. If there's this one that I want to talk over with you. It's just I think your kind of player. He was an Israeli guy. We were down to like 12 or 11, something like that. It was pretty close before I thought it. And I have 1.2 million, and blinds are 20-40K with a 10K ante. And we're 6-handed. I'm in the big blind. And
wait a second, I'm sorry. 20, 40K, and you had 30 big blinds at this point?
I had 30. Let's see, what would that be? Yeah, 30 big blinds.
Well, that's a monster stack in this tournament, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it was me and the other guy, and we're the chip leaders, at least at our table. I don't know what the other table had.
Okay.
You know, it was really cool. I wasn't even looking at the payouts. All I knew was that first was $33K, and even when I busted, I went up and I was like, I don't even know what I made. You know, I was just in the zone. I was like, it was fucking fun. It was really. I've never been that fucking calm and cool at a you know, when I've been close to the money before, and I think I just with Elliot, and I think it made all the difference in the fucking world. I really do. I was having fun. I was joking. It was like I didn't feel any pressure. All I felt was like just make the right decision right here, right now, every single time, and that's all that was going through my head. It was
great feeling. Yeah, that's a great feeling.
But anyways, okay, so I got 1.2 mil at 2040K, so I got 30 big blinds. This villain is under the gun. He's an Israeli guy, and he's tilting. But he is a good player, but he's tilting, and so he's turned into a very bad player that's trying to punt right now. You know the kind of he's trying to punt. He took a bad beat against me about 10 minutes prior. Probably more than that. Probably 20 minutes prior. I had like 10 bigs. He was super active. He opened from the cutoff. I shoved from the button with ace-7 of hearts, thinking I'm way ahead of his range, because I'm sure I was. The blinds folded. He snap called with ace-king, and then I got lucky and hit a 7. And so that doubled me up. And then we got moved to another table, and now we're in slightly different positions, and he's got position on me now instead. He's to my left.
Okay.
But that's still ringing in his head, and a couple hands before, he got it in with ace-king against the guy that shoved light on him with queen-10, and he got unlucky. The guy hit a fucking 10 on the turn or the river, and then all he could see was red. He was just fucking pissed, right? And so now I've got him, and I'm like, I gotta fucking extract as much value as possible out of this guy, because he is ready to punt, and he's just trying to give his chips away, and I want to be the guy that he gives them to, right? Because we're the two big stacks at the table. So anyways, so he raises under the gun. He makes it 115K under the gun, which he would probably do from under the gun, I'm guessing 25 to 30% of the time. From the buttons, he's raising like 60. I mean, he's active. He raises 115 under the gun, folds around to me in the big blind, six-handed. I look down at king-queen of clubs, king-queen suited. What are you thinking here?
How many big blinds did he have? I'm sorry.
He's got me covered. He's probably got 1.3 mil, and I've got like 1.2. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got a pretty hand here. I guess calling is a play. I'm tempted to 3-bet, but when you say he's tilting, then what do you do if he 4-bet shoves? You know, if you think he's doing that in a wide range, I think whatever you still got to fold with king. So, I'm full. I'm flatting every time. I think here.
I think I am too. I think it's just too good of a hand. If we miss on this flop, then we can just easily let it go. I think you're right. I think by 3-betting here, we kind of have to like cry fold to a 4-bet shove. And I think he's just opening so wide here because he's tilting that I just want to keep his whole range in, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
What's your 3-betting? Do you have a 3-betting range there? Or you're flatting aces? Are you flatting? Just curious, like what hands? Do you 3-bet king 9 off?
I'm thinking there, I might, in that spot, I might 3-bet him real small with like aces and kings and queens and maybe jacks and stuff like that, and maybe ace-king. Just like only my nutted hands, because he's ready to fucking go. You know what I mean? And I think if this is a spot, you know, like he could just shove here with like fucking 6-7 suited or something like that, and then you could snap him off with queens. You know, and just end his turn.
Right. Okay.
You know, but hands like this that play so well, like Jack 10 suited and King Queen suited and stuff like that, I think like I'm just calling every time.
No, I think clearly call is the best option there. So you call.
I think so too. Yeah, I call. Okay, so the pot is 310,000. He's got like the effective stacks are like 1.1 at this point, I think. Okay, so the flop with King Queen of clubs, the flop is the King of hearts, 8 of hearts, and 6x. Okay, and it's on us. What?
I like the check raise. I think the most. I mean, what would you? What's his c-bet percentage? How would you quantify that?
I would say his c-bet percentage is fucking in the upper 80s, probably. It's almost every single time.
Then I'm check raising.
Okay, I check as well. I don't think I'm ever fucking betting on this board when I hit it with a king like this against this guy. So I check. And then he looks back at his cards, and this is a tell that I picked up on. Whenever he looks back at his cards, especially when you're about to call, it's such an obvious tell. He must be like a wizard online, but when it comes to live, like he just gives way too much shit away. When he looks back at his cards, he's weak every time. Like when you're thinking of like counting out a call, and he looks at his cards, like he's weak. You know what I mean? At the best, he probably has like bottom or middle pair, and that's about it. But he's worried. He's trying to look at his cards to make you rethink about betting or calling. So he looks back at his cards. And I decided to go for the call. I thought he might barrel again. And the only card I did not want to see was an ace. But other than that, I think we're kind of comfortable with just about anything. You know, we don't want to see another heart. We'd rather not see another heart, but yeah.
Well, how about this? Especially, I mean, your check calling range probably looks to him stronger than your check raising range. So if you think you got the best hand here 95% of the time, we're certainly willing to get it in on the flop, right?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
I kind of like the check raise, especially how you're describing this guy ready to punt. I think he's more likely, if he's got whatever shit hand he's got, ace rag here or whatever, I think he's more likely to shove it on this flop than he is to barrel off on the turn and river. But I could be wrong.
Okay, anyway, that's an interesting point, yeah.
Especially if your goal is to get him to put all his chips in, this flop might be the best opportunity because especially you're out of position. I mean, how often are you just floating here, with 30 big blinds effective just to steal it on the turn, da-da-da. I mean, you call, you've got a lot of kings here. Where you check raise, you got a fair amount of bluffs. So that was my first instinct. But calling is not a huge mistake. I mean, again, it's player specific here.
Yeah,
just the way you're describing it, the first thing I said in the flop was, check raise. So.
This is a good check. Well, that's an interesting point. When I was going for my chips, because I knew I was never ever folding here. When I was going for my chips and I saw him look at his cards, I'm like, oh, his hand is fucking weak. And I never even thought of raising, honestly, until you brought it up right now. I thought the only option was calling.
Yeah, I mean, even though there's 2 to a flush on board, right? I mean, that's a pretty small part of his range. So you're not really worried about him catching up. Like you say, if at this point you're only fading 6 outs twice, 3 outs twice, then you're basically a 9-1 favorite here on this flop. So you don't mind checking to get him to put some more chips in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Describing him like me, like nothing pisses me off more than like the check raise min click.
Yeah.
The check raise min click makes me want to choke somebody when they do that to me. Where it's like, I got nothing, but Christ, look what you're. I know you got nothing. I'm going to play back at you here.
Yeah. Okay. So then we let's see. Okay, so we got 310 in the pot. He bets. I check. He bets 250. I call. So now we got 810 in the pot, and we have 835 behind. So we basically have a pot size bet left.
Okay.
the turn is Jack X. So the board now is King 8 of hearts, 6X, Jack X.
Well, how is this pot so big? What, isn't it 20,000, 40,000 blinds?
20,000, 40,000 blinds, yeah. He raised under the gun to 115, then I called 115. And with the blinds and antes in there, because there's a 10K ante. It's a pretty big ante.
Right.
6 ante.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a huge difference. Okay.
Yeah, so then on the pot, the pot is 310, and then we get 50K. We get $500,000 in on the flop, and now it's 810.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So, that makes the check raise maybe, just check call makes a little more sense. Because if you check raise there, it looks like you're pot committed. So you're not leaving him a chance to bluff. So I'm sorry. I was thinking, in my mind, we were a little deeper here.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I like the check call and just, but now if an ace comes, you got to call. I mean, it doesn't matter how it runs out.
I think so. I think we're committed now no matter what, right? I mean, we don't want to see an ace. That's the only card we don't want to see, but
for ICM reasons, maybe you're still supposed to get away from it. I don't know.
Okay. But, okay, the turn is a jack, though. So it's King 8-6, and then the turn is a jack.
Okay.
What do you think?
I guess stick with our plan here. Check and let him blast off.
Okay.
Capable, if you think Mikey Jr. is capable of doing that.
I thought he was, and it turned out I was right. I check, and then he bets 300 pretty quickly. And when he's betting, he looks pissed. He looks mad that he lost the ace king to the other guy a few hands before. He still looks mad that I beat him with the ace 7 when he had ace king or ace queen, and he was talking in Hebrew to some of the guys on the rail, and a lot of the times he was kind of like flicking his hands kind of at me and like kind of pointing at me like he was still pissed about that hand. I mean, this guy was fucking tilting to the max. It was exactly what you want from a good player. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to beat someone that's probably better than you, this is how you're going to do it when he's tilting. And
well, you got to raise there. You got to just shove it in. You know,
well, this is basically my whole reasoning to this question is, do we have to shove here on the turn? Because spoiler alert, I shoved, and then he instantly folded. And so what I'm wondering is, like, against a player like this that is just destined to punt, do we just do check, call, like all the way down?
I don't know. At this point, for ICM reasons, just lock it up if you're happy with it. I mean, even if he's got 9-10, he's got 4 outs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're just like after he puts 300 in, there's 1.1 million in the pot, and so it's more than your stack, correct?
Yeah.
So no, I mean you got a good point. I'm assuming. Well, you know, maybe he's doing that with absolutely nothing. 3-5 off. I don't know. I would think he's got some equity in the hand, but you said he insta-folded?
He looked so disgusted, and then he like mumbled something in Hebrew, and then he just like took the chip off his cards and just like flicked it angrily into the mud. Like he must have not have had shit because there was no thought to whether like, well, maybe a pair 8 is good. If maybe there was none of that. You know, like he just was pissed, and then he just flicked his cards into the mud. So he must not have had anything.
Yeah, if he's ready to punt, I mean, if he's at all decent, he should be giving up on the river there for serving his chips.
Yeah.
Anyways, even if you don't raise, so I'm tempted to say you got the maximum.
Okay, maybe you're right.
Would be my first analysis. But yeah, I don't mind just locking that pot up there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And just deny if for some reason he still has a gutter ball or like pocket deuces, just taking away those couple hands.
Yeah, 8-9 or 9-7 have 8 outs each. Actually, 8-9 doesn't have 8 outs because I got one of the queens, or 9-10 I mean would have an open ender, but I got one of his outs, so that'd be 7 outs, and then 9-7 would have 8 outs. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right. Queen 10 There's a fair amount of draws out there. 2 hearts. Okay, maybe it wasn't that bad shoving on the turn.
I mean,
my thought
I
afterwards, though, when he instantly folded like that, I'm like, oh fuck! I almost got his whole stack. Like, what if I call right there?
I guess he a lot of times he just has a zero equity hand there because if he's got a flush draw or an open ender, he probably just shoves it there rather than betting and then being forced to bet fold or bet call.
Okay.
So the more I think about it, yeah, he's got a whole lot of nothing there, a good percentage of the time. Yeah, that's I think you played that okay. So what was your bust out hand? So I'm confused here. You had all these chips and what went wrong?
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see, my bust out hand. Okay, I was let's see. Oh, another hand. I almost stacked this guy. It was like a couple of hands later. I had so that hand right there knocked him down to like 900K, and then no, less than that. I'm sorry, it knocked him down to like $500,000, like 500K, and after his bet on the turn, and then now I easily got him covered. I got over 1.5. I go through the blinds, and then I'm in late position, and it folds to me. He's in the. Let's see, he must have been in one of the blinds, and I look down at King Jack suited, and then I realize I'm like, oh, dude, this guy is so ready to punt, and he's pissed at me, and like this is the perfect opportunity. I'm calling no matter what he shoves here, no matter what. And so I raise, and then sure as shit, he just ships it. Like he just looks at his hand real quick and then just ships it, and I snap call, and he's got King 10 off. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. Anyways, bad run out. We end up splitting. And then after that happened, it was like something switched in his brain. All of a sudden, he realized how lucky he was to like still be there. And then he started playing well again, and he wasn't tilting anymore. And I was like, man, that was my one little window to fucking knock this guy out. But anyways, my bust out hand. This was kind of an interesting dynamic. We had just been on a 15-minute break. For whatever reason, once they get down to like, once they get up to like level 20 or whatever, then they start doing 15-minute breaks instead of 20-minute breaks. After the dinner break. Dinner break.
Less players to get to the bathroom. Probably.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And so anyway, so I was outside. I went out to my car to get some beef jerky or something to eat, I think. And then I was coming back in, and I see this guy outside, and he's smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, oh, this is one of the guys at my table. We're down to like 12 people, and so I was like, oh, hey, what's up, man? And we start talking, and then I find out his name's Frank, and we talk for probably like 5 minutes. And then when he finishes his cigarette, then we go back in. And then we played. Let's see. This was the second hand back from the break. I raised under the gun. I had 15 big blinds coming back from the break. And
does it jump to? It jumps probably from 20-40 to 30-60 in this thing, right?
That's exactly what it did. Yes, 20-40 to 30-60. So you go from 25 bigs down to 15, and it's like starting over every level. You just gotta fucking grind it up and hope your hands hold. And
I got you.
Yeah, and so I'm under the gun. I got ace-3 offsuit, and with 15 bigs, I basically like 2.2 it, and then the Israeli guy shoves. He's the next to act. He's under the gun +1. He shoves all in. It folds back around to me, and then are you ever calling there?
No, easy fold.
Yeah, easy fold. Okay, I jumped that. The very next hand.
I would have folded that too. By the way, I think that's an open. But
oh, you wouldn't have opened that.
I don't think so. It's ace-3 off.
Well, everyone at the table was playing tight except for the Israeli guy and me. So I was pretty sure if I got through him that I was going to pick up the blinds.
Okay.
But,
yeah, in a vacuum, I think that. I was just thinking that people are short, shoving a lot, but I guess it's the opposite. People are short, don't want to go bust. So yeah, maybe
that's a lot of what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I do that. He shoves on me. I fold. And then the very next hand, I'm in the big blind, and it folds to the guy on the button, Frank, who I met outside, just before we started playing this, level 21 or whatever fucking level we're on. And
gotcha.
he raises the button. The blinds are 30-60. He raises to 180, and we have 13 big blinds in the big blind, and we look down at king 7 off.
I don't know. Yeah, what do you make of his 3x?
Now
I would just fold, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I talked to Carlos about this afterwards, and he said that he thought it was a good spot to what do you call it? To 3-bet. And the more I think about, I think yes, in internet poker, in a vacuum, I think this is a good hand to have in your 3-bet ripping range here with 13 bigs to a button open. But the more I think about it, Frank was probably the third most active guy. The first one was the Israeli, second one was me, and he was definitely the third. But I think after our dynamic that we had outside, where we shook hands and we knew each other's name, and there was kind of that friendly dynamic there that didn't exist before. And I don't think 2 minutes after that conversation, he's going to be raising my blind light. You know?
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would just be trying to interpret what the sizing is. Like, depending on if you've seen him do that before. Like, this is where I might level myself into thinking, well, he's got aces or king. He's got a monster this time because he's trying to make it look like he's stealing it when he really has it. Wants you to raise it. Shoving here, I don't think would be a mistake. I mean, it's plus EV, I guess, as we say.
Okay.
But I don't know. There might be a lot of hands in his range that he doesn't want to see. I mean, like pocket 8s and 9s, where he's never folding to a shove, but he just doesn't want to see a flop with him. You know what I mean? Or he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
So yeah, but in terms of, I'd be careful with that whole. You know, I developed rapport with the guy. Did you listen to the Thinking Poker podcast episode with Clayton on there?
With who?
He was with Clayton Fletcher.
Okay.
He was on thinking that this was, Clayton came in like top 100 in the main event last year. He had a great run, but he was.
Yeah. We had him on right after that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was describing some hand where he got bluffed, and he's like, "Well, it was this Finnish guy, and we had talked on break, and we were getting real chummy. I just didn't think he bluffed." So
Okay.
But so you decided to rip here, or what did you do?
Yeah, I didn't think about it too long. It was one of those moments where I thought the longer I think, the weaker I think my hand is going to look. And so I ripped it in probably 5 to 8 seconds, something like that. I looked down at king 7 off, and I just remember all the math that we've done, me, Doug, and Carlos, and Mark with his king blocker speech and all that shit. And I'm like, oh, this hand's perfect.
Right, yeah.
And I rip it.
I would have done that to a 2x and a 2.5x raise, but the 3x raise would have me hesitating a little bit, depending on the player. But yeah, so you ripped it, and he called, obviously.
He snap called. Yeah, he had pocket 9s. So.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. He doesn't want to be flat, but if you shove, he doesn't care. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too bad. But like I said, if you've been playing him a while and seeing most of his opens were 2x or 2.5x, I would be confused by the big open, and I would just, as a default.
Well, his opens before, when the levels were 20-40, his opens were to
115K. Yeah, okay.
No, his opens were to 140 at the 20-40 level. His opens were to 140. So he was going more than 3x on those. And this one he did 180, so he did it at 30-60. He did 180, so he did 3x. So
okay. I'm sorry. Like right away, my mind just 3x is a massive opening. So, but if he's been doing that with all, the whole time.
Oh, he was actually going bigger on the level before. Now I don't know. He didn't seem like he's definitely not a player like us that's done a bunch of math and has a steady grip. Like, that's not him. Like, he's definitely a recreational player, but he's probably a better recreational player than most people. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only other factor here is, the ICM factor. Where, yeah, I like the shuffle. Just kind of you ran into a cooler.
I guess so, yeah. I just think that,
Sorry.
I just think that he's, I don't know. I mean, is he folding? He's probably folding weak aces there, so we can get him to fold better, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, maybe it's not that bad.
I don't know if he's folding aces. Yeah,
so like an ace-3 or something, like ace-5, ace-7, stuff like that. He's probably calling with like ace-9s. He's definitely calling with ace-10 and above, I would think.
Yeah. This is one of those things you got to get run through the extra calculator. Like I think king-9 suited is an easy shove. Like king-7 off, maybe you're getting into a few hands. But like I said, for ICM reasons, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you just kind of got unlucky there with obviously with King Jack not holding up against King 10. And the pocket nines is that's just a cooler.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, it was.
So when you?
It was fun. It was fun.
Are you done with Vegas for the summer? Are you coming back to play a few more deep stacks or no?
No, I'm done. I'm done. I shot my wad. I've been on vacation now for like almost 6 weeks. It's time to pay the piper. I gotta be back at work and start up again. And God
bless the unions of municipal workers.
No shit. Very true. Very true. Most people cannot do what I do. Very true. Very true. Yeah. What about you? Where are you at right now?
I'm on 15 North, 93 miles into my journey, so I guess kind of a pain in the ass. I still don't have a place to stay tonight, actually. I was staying with Jeff, Carlos's buddy, Georgia, is here for the main event, but he's playing tomorrow, so he pretty much told me if I can't be there by 11:30, I got to find something else to sleep, because, he wants to get to bed early, sensibly.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm scheduled to get there a little after midnight, and I just texted Mark and asked him if I could stay at his place, but he said he's sick.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure he put a fake bottle of meth by his bed just in case I burst in, so he can continue with that. He can continue with that lie. But
I texted him earlier too. Derek's playing now, but Mark said he's going to wait till tomorrow or the next day.
How's KB doing? Did you check I haven't checked his tweets in a while.
I checked the last tweet I checked was when he was on dinner break and he was at like 20. He was below starting stack. He was at like 24K or something like that. But he ran it up to 47, and then somebody cracked his aces. I think he said with like 3-4 offsuit or some shit.
Well, that's it's 50K starting stack this year, so that's not running it up. That's just keeping it.
Okay. Well, yeah, he was down to 30. And then I guess he ran it up to 47, and he said just before dinner break, somebody cracked his aces with, some. He was either 2-3 off or 4-3 off or something like that. It was something.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of. I think people will like the thing just because it gets some more chips to play with at the beginning. Everybody gets a little stack of orange and yellow.
Yeah.
But it starts off at 75, 150.
Okay. Instead of 25, 50.
Yeah, so the tournament's going to move just as fast.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. They just removed a couple of levels and gave you more chips. Like that's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But you get more. I like stacking chips, so that kind of works for me. More chips around if people bust. But I just thought that was a little bit of a strange choice. Yeah, I swapped with a. Let's see, who did I swap with today? I had 3 people going out there, and I know one of them busted. This young female pro I swapped with. This is one of the 3 women I fell in love with at Vegas.
Nice.
I think she's. Oh my God, I can't mention her name because she's pretty well known, actually. She's like makes those hottest women in poker lists. But yeah, I'm convinced she likes. But anyways, I swapped 1% with her. She busted today. So now my only I told Carlos I wasn't joking because I'm just so tired from Carolina, and I could easily lose, even though I sold 35% of my main event here. I could easily lose $12K over the next week and a half if I fire a couple bullets into this tournament bet. So there's part of me that wanted to come back and not play the main actually, and play the little 1-for-1 drop. But I joked Carlos. I said, well, now I swapped a 1% with this woman, so now I have no choice but to impress her, make a deep run, hand her the 40,000, and say, hey, I think I was ready to talk about my travels there. Talking about my trip to North Carolina with the family.
Oh yeah, how was that, Jeff?
Yeah, you got to kind of put the fun in quotation marks, man. It's fucking vacation's hard work when you got kids. Carlos would have been proud if he would be able to read the little thought bubbles that are going over my head during this whole time.
Yeah.
That just families are pointless, stupid. No, I love it, but it's just my brother's got 3 daughters. My sister has 2. My parents are there. We got other cousin and their kid. So it's just an effing circus. And the vacation is really for the kids. So it's making them. And then plus I look lame because my brother and sister are like the best parents ever.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like keeping the kids. Like my sister said, who wants to make a vacation newspaper? I mean, who comes up with ideas like this? And the kids got so excited, and they all did this was like 5 days into the trip. We had gone, done all this cool little shit. Went to the waterfalls, played games, made cookies, whatever. So they got to write little stories about it, and we put it together in drawing, and she made it into like a book. And my brother is like, my one cousin's son is like 5, for an example. So this kid was into fishing, and we were down there, and of course he can't cast the thing, the simple rod.
Yeah.
The first time it just drops behind him, and I got to be careful. And the second time he does it again, and the hook goes over and almost takes my son's eye out.
Oh.
And I'm just like, another time you get it caught. I'm like, okay, man, I'm sorry, you're just young, you can't. My brother's like, no. So this isn't even my brother's kid. And he comes over there and spends like an hour with the kid, giving this like personal fishing lesson. And of course, like an hour later, the fucking little bastard is like, he cast the line, no problem.
Huh.
But I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
He got an opportunity. He's slow in the learning curve. I'll see you next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it is kind of funny. My brother is just such the. It was just tiring, and relentless, and you know what I mean. So, and I look bad because like I really wanted to see the France-Germany soccer game. I just wasn't going to miss it. I get really into the Euro Cup.
Yeah.
And at that time, my brother took all the other kids out to go tubing, on a powerboat. And there wasn't enough room for everyone on the boat anyways. But I remember afterwards, like my son is like, "Oh, this is what a fun daddy's like." You know what I mean? Family vacation. Screw that. I mean, I'll go on a Disney cruise with my son and spend money and show him how much his dad loves him. But on these family vacations, he sees what my deficiencies. That was fun, but it was, first of all, I missed my connecting flight on the way over. Long story short, it's fatiguing. I missed my flight to Chattanooga, and then I had to go to Atlanta. My brother picked me up in Chattanooga. Then we went to the lake house in North Carolina. Yesterday, long drive back from North Carolina to Chattanooga for traffic and this and that. And then flew home. Only got 5 hours sleep last night. Flew home from Chattanooga. Well, Chattanooga to Charlotte, then to San Diego. Then played with my son for a few hours. And I tried to get some sleep before I hit the road, but I couldn't really do that. So I'm in a fit of mania, and I'm going to make it to Vegas. And I think it'll be good timing, because I'll go there tomorrow. Probably sleep not much tonight. Tomorrow play, and then I'll crash for like 12 hours before Monday's main event. Hopefully. So there it is. Speaking of the main event, I already talked about how I Yeah, I think I have 58% of myself. That's not bad, right?
In the main?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
I sold, I mean, I'd rather have 75% of myself, but I'm trying to be responsible. So, I sold a good chunk of myself, which I think is the way to go. Like I told myself, I know I'm going to have at least one deep run in this thing. And when that happens, I'd like to have every nickel of it, but it might not happen for 15 years. And if I put that 10K up myself every year, then I won't have any money to continue returning. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then you could have bought a house with that instead of. No, I think it's a great idea to sell a large portion of. Keep as much as you feasibly can of yourself. Yeah, but not. I'd be telling action for sure.
I'm trying to think if there's any more Vegas tales I should share with you before. I don't know, man. Just in terms of getting, but that was the original theme of this of the show here. Is how does the how does the low grinder survive and make it? And just living with Carlos for a month, man, you learn a lot about fucking hard work. I'll tell you that. That guy just lives.
What's his usual routine? Like, what's it look like when he wakes up in the morning until he goes to sleep at night?
Oh, there's a fair amount of. Believe me, he's really supportive of, like, all his friends there. He'll rail you. He came and railed me for, like, 5 hours in the Colossus on day 3. Yeah. But, he definitely is he is consuming every bit of poker knowledge he can get. Yeah. You know what I mean? So he was working the TV booth, but he'd always be watching a training video. Yeah. Or watching, like on Twitch, they had the Global Poker League or whatever it is. And you could watch some of these top heads-up specialists play. But what really impressed me at the end, he just likes the studying aspect. So, I think it was the last night there. I went out with this woman and came home really drunk after having a bunch of margaritas. So just kind of but he had got knocked out of. I think he might have got knocked out of the Binions 500 after getting close to the bubble. I forget. But one of those things where a lot of people would have been frustrated and just want to come home and stuff it. And there he was. He was back studying, and he studies all his hand histories from Bovada. I don't want to give up his studying tricks, but people know what to do to get better at poker. It's just most of us just don't do it. Yeah. Yeah. To obsessively look at your own mistakes, look at how other people approach things. But anyways, when he's locked in and studying, he's very focused. Just put it that way. And he's very, and he will obsess over some small, it's all in the details, as they say, and he will really go over some details. Yeah. Because, he's trying to exploit, like, Bovada players in a certain way, so he was going back to study one of Mark's video series, which he thought would be particularly helpful. Beyond being, that's one of the things I learned. I came out of Vegas with. It's just, first of all, live tournaments are just such a fucking crapshoot. I still think I'm going to have a big score one day, but surviving it still is the same. It still means winning, winning 10Ks in Bovada once a month kind of shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if that's what I'm going to be playing, that's what I need to be studying. Is not, high roller live tournaments, but I got to be studying Bovada hand histories. Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting back to work with you and Doug and Carlos and whoever. Me
too. Doug's been messaging us like twice a week and like, hey, do you guys have time to study? And I was like, man, I've been in freaking Panama, Colombia, and then I was at the WSOP. Like, today is literally my first day, like, back to regular life. I just haven't had time to do shit. But I am looking forward to getting back to our Wednesday discussion groups and all that. That'll be good. That'll be really good.
So, did you have any? You meet anyone in Vegas? Who'd you hang out with? Was there a night at PT's?
Oh yeah, there were several nights at PT's. It was cool. I got to hang out with Derek and Mark and Peter, James, Carlos. Who else did I meet? Hope Reasons was there. He brought his girlfriend. I met Daryl Jace for the first time in person. We got him on the podcast, and I got a coaching session from him, and You know, all the work he's done with Doug. I finally got to meet him. Oh, I met another guy too from TPE. His name's Joel. On TPE, his handle is Joel Shit Show. I don't know if you know him.
Okay.
Yeah. I met him at PT's, and I went to the TPE house once or twice, and then I was at the booth all the time, and it was a fucking blast, man. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And then just people that I've been playing with at the tables that you know, were just cool people. That, you know, you'd see there's people there that I see every year that I can't tell you what their names are, but every year we recognize each other and kind of catch up a little bit, and then that's about it. And I'll probably see them next year too. You know, like people from like fucking God, one guy's from Amsterdam, another guy from London, another one from France, another one from Spain. Like just people that I see every single year there that I only see at the WSOP. You know, it's neat. It's neat.
Well, that's good, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. But what time are you going to get there? Do you think like midnight, 1 o'clock?
Yeah. Like I was saying, I'm supposed to arrive at like 12:10 according to my GPS here.
Okay.
I already told this guy if I'm not there by 11:30, I'll find someplace else to sleep. So I don't mind. I'll go in and play cash for a few hours, then just go crash in my car for 3 hours, and then go get him plug him in the morning whenever he gets up.
You know what?
So,
you could do an Airbnb. That would be pretty.
I don't want to. I don't want to do it.
You're more of a hotel guy. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. Saturday nights too. No. Well, first of all, I mean, I'm just used to that, staying up all night, even after not getting sleep for a couple nights.
Okay.
So even like crashing for 2 hours, that I have no trouble staying up till getting 2 hours and then staying up till 10 a.m. Playing poker or whatever.
Okay.
So, anyways, I'm gonna go visit the masseuse I'm in love with tomorrow. God only knows. This is the woman I went on a date with, and it'd be hard to explain the weirdness of the situation. But although I was very socially aggressive there. I had like a few dates. I don't know. Does a stripper count? I don't know if that really counts. Cause it was, cause I didn't actually. My one buddy said it's not a stripper; it's a hooker if you're promising her money. I just said, hey, let's go shoot craps. We'll gamble. I'll give you money to gamble. And so she made money that. But this was a fucking. I mean, I don't know if it would have. I don't know if I was paying for it or not. But we were drinking a lot. I got drunk more in those first 3 weeks than I did in like the previous 3 years. Like I was drunk 6 or 7 times, and I kind of left, because I used to drink so much in the past. I don't really drink much, but anyways, I guess I'd have to tell the full story to make it good. It would involve the previous night. I told you that. Well, I'm talking about my good score to start the summer, but my summer actually started with me firing like 5 bullets into the fucking Venetian $600 tournament, and then going and blowing like 1,500 at a strip club.
Oh, God.
And so I was down. Well, I mean that whole crew, and I told myself this will be a life-changing experience. I'll never drink again, and I'll never talk to a stripper again.
Oh, of course not.
Because let's just put it this way. I woke up in a booth not knowing where I was, just blacked out pretty much, or just laid down, fell asleep, whatever. Because I was already drunk before we went there. And this place, we had like a private, it was like $350 a bottle for Grey Goose. And this
God.
Cheap ass strip club, we were drinking a lot. And one of those things, those guys are shaking me awake, and I'm like, I know where I am. Then we're walking towards the door. I'm like, wait a second. That's fucking sunlight shooting underneath the door there. What the hell time is it? It's 8 in the goddamn morning. These things are 24 hours. Somehow we've been there for 6 hours. I don't know how much money I lost. I get fucking back to TPE house, and I don't have my car keys. They're lost. So I go back there hungover as hell with one of those little pen flashlights looking at the entire club over. And they're like, and I don't find them, and I'm fucking, hungover and flipping out.
Yeah.
And luckily, they said, well, the cleaning lady's coming later. You can give us a call. I thought it was like a perfunctory, shoot me away. Sure enough, I called later, and the cleaning lady had found them.
Oh, nice.
So, but anyways, I did get a stripper's number that night. We went out, I don't know, the next night or the night after. Got really loaded. I was drinking amaretto, and she was drinking, I don't know, Jim Beam or something. And, I gave her money. She shot craps. She made like $400. I was up and went to another casino shooting craps. And all of a sudden, one of those things where, she's like a 110-pound girl. It's a little like Asian girl.
Yeah.
And so I was drunk. I wasn't paying attention, but she was really drunk. So we got thrown out of the fucking pit. She was like, She's like, who loves Asian pussy? Like throwing the dice and like throwing them wildly off the table. And then finally, she was like exposing her breast. She's like, hey, who loves? And then she took the dice and put it in her bra. Like, I don't even care if you get naked there, but you can't take the dice off the table.
No. That's a big no-no.
So they say, you do that again, and, like, I'm kissing her and stuff, so I don't know if this could even lead to, like, whatever, me get laid, or her telling me how much it would cost to get laid, whatever. But I just had to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
They like, okay, they took the dice away from her, listen. But then she met her sister there, and those two were fucking out of control. So I just left. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm feeling sick, I got to get out of here.
I'm done. This is just too fucking crazy.
So I had blown $2,000 goddamn dollars the night before, just trying to fucking be a big shot to get a stripper to go out with me. And then I had to escape her because she was fucking a loony tip.
Most of them are.
I don't know if I give the part, but I definitely have been like, I got a number of a poker dealer and went out with her one night.
Nice.
And I've gotten the number of a couple masseuses. And one of them is the one I went out with the other night. And another one we exchanged a couple texts. And there's a poker player that I really like there too. So anyways.
Nice.
I don't really have anything to report there, other than I'm out there, I'm trying, Steve. Right? That's the bottom line to all that.
Basically, as men, what we got to do is it's persistence. That's really what it boils down to. You just got to keep trying, and eventually it'll happen. That's our whole game. It's just don't give up ever. Just keep trying.
Yeah. And like your whole thing about how it's important to have standards.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Vegas, it's not difficult to stick to that rule because there's fucking hot chicks everywhere.
Very true. Yeah. Yep. Only go for girls that you're really attracted to. That's a huge secret, and it seems so obvious, but so many guys settle for girls that they're not really attracted to, and it's just in one aspect, it's sad,
It's just because if you go for the attractive ones, you just sort of like playing against better poker players, you naturally get better. Is that the idea?
Well, no, I mean, if you're
just for your happiness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for your own happiness and for theirs too. I mean, like if you're not really attracted to them, then what's the point?
I mean, if the goal is to become good and making women happy, I just think, you sweet talk every woman you meet. Just
hang on. Go back on what you said. You said if the goal is to make women happy.
If the goal is to be the kind of guy who knows how to make women happy, then make every woman happy, right? I mean, not that you're trying to sleep with the women you're not attracted to, whatever, but you're flirting with them and trying to throw a little compliment to make their day a little better. No?
Well, this is kind of I don't know. It sounds almost like you're trying to please them, but really, what you should be doing is just going for girls that you're attracted to, and then ones that are attracted to you.
Okay, I'll stop writing love letters to capers. I was just trying to get
well, you know what? Let's probably wrap this up, Mikey. It's getting towards past my bedtime, but
okay, Stevie. Well, I'll RampagePoker.com. I'm trying to be good about keeping that blog going. I was blogging during my biggest.
What's your Twitter? Throw that in.
Rampage Poker.
And yes.
That's the brand name. That's the brand name, brother.
Yes. I'll be I'll be retweeting all your stuff.
Okay, let's hope we can make a little run on the main event here. At least have the excitement of bagging it going on a little bit, not another day one catastrophe. But if it happens, it happens. I've already had a winning summer, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're already
man.
ahead. You got nothing to lose, and I think you're going to do well.
Okay, I hope so. I appreciate that, and I will talk to you soon, man.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I got supersonic speed that I used to run to you. I stretched my arms for miles and miles.
Okay, it's been a few days since Mike and I were talking, and we're back now. It's Saturday. We recorded that on Monday, so I got some updates as far as how Mike is doing and how some of the other people that have been on the podcast are doing. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about Elliot Rowe. Yes, his hypnosis tapes. You listen to them before you play. It'll put you on that level, even keel. You don't tilt. You don't get really excited. You're just even, just making the best decisions that you can possibly make in the moment right then and there. And you can get one of his free MP3s. You just click on the link in the show notes, free MP3. It'll take you straight to his page. Try it out. You got nothing to lose. It's free. If you do end up getting, you like it, just like I do, I've got all his tapes. Go to his website and type in the code HeadsUpPoker, and that'll get yourself 10% off. All right, now, updates. Mike Sneideman. My premonition was not quite as accurate as it could have been. Unfortunately, Mike went out day one. So did Clayton Fletcher. So about a third of the field gets lost on the first day. And unfortunately, those two guys, darn it, didn't quite make it as far. Carlos did quite well. He made it to day three. Derek Tenbush, KB, he went out early day two. He picked up pocket kings. I think he had something like 30 big blinds, and ran into a guy with aces. So GG, good game. Some notables. Greg Raymer is who we've had on the podcast in the past. He's still in it, day five. They're down to about, I think, 230 right now. I'll have to update that in just a sec. I'll look it up. And our own Dylan Tomasi. He is one of the TPE guys staying at the TPE house. I've hung out with him the last couple of years, and with Mark and KB and James and all those guys. Anyways, he's making a run at it. He started today. There was 251 people left, and he was 15th in chips. And then he threw out a tweet a couple hours ago saying like, hashtag I hate aces or something like that. And I looked, and now he's 80th out of. So he must have aces must have cost him, but he had a big enough stack. He had double the average to be able to survive that. So he's doing quite well. Greg Raymer, is number 79. So they're neck and neck right there. 80 and 79. And we're down to, let's see, how many players are we down to here? 215. So some notables that have been lost in earlier today. Sean Deeb. Let's see who else we got here. Those are the only notable names I really noticed. So good luck, Dylan. I hope you're doing well. If you guys want to follow along, find out how he did on Monday when this podcast come out, I'll put his Twitter links along with Mike and Carlos and Derek and theirs down in the show notes. And you guys can look them up and see how they finished. So we're down to 210 now. Good luck, Dylan. Hopefully this is putting out good vibes for how you do in the tournament. We're all right behind you, man. Exciting. 6,737 entrants, and they're almost down to 200. Very, very cool. But anyhow, I think that's about it. Thank you for tuning in. I will be with you next week, and here is your weekly motivational speech.
So my daddy called me on the phone. He asked me a question. He said, son, you had a tough year. What's next? I said, Dad, I'm going to be a hospital administrator. He said, not bad, but let me ask you a question, son. Do you believe you're an NBA player? I said, Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? He said, do two things you can play in the NBA. Lose 20 pounds and shoot a three-point shot with range, you can play in the NBA. I think you should be a motivational speaker, son, but if you lose 20 pounds and shoot the three-point shot with range, you can play in the NBA. I lost 20 pounds, and every day I would shoot 500 shots a day, every single day. I got invited to training camp with the Dallas Mavericks, and not only did I make the team, I became the first ever undrafted rookie free agent in the history of the Dallas Mavericks to start opening night. Could you imagine what was going through my mind? I had not started a basketball game since high school.